Okay, we did it. We really did it this time. Okay, okay, wow. So, let's talk about the ups and downs of Fear of the Spotlight. And I have to say, I finished Vivian's story. So, let me back up a little bit. I started playing the game, and I at about 2 hours and 15 minutes or something, I got credits. It's a pretty short game, 2.5 hours maybe. And at that point, I was thinking, this is really good for like an itch.io game. Like if I played this on like itch.io, or it was part of some compilation, some 99-cent game on Steam or something, which I have a few of those on my list, I would think this is one of the best, maybe the best one of these I've ever played. But it's kind of got that feel, you know, where it's like a very indie experience, but it's got that feel to it where it's like an indie, and it is. It's made by two people, you know, and it's a very short game. But I would think this is one of the best. Like I've played like Burgers and Frights and like Summer of '58 and Find Yourself and A Place Forbidden and Discover My Body and all these like short itch.io games that go anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half. And this kind of had that feel, but it would be the best one of those I've ever played because it's got an awesome art style. The voice acting is actually pretty decent. It's genuinely scary in some parts, but this was not one of those games. This is a $20 game that I got on my PS5. And I was thinking, for a $20 game, for something that's not even as long as an Avengers movie, that's a tall order, right? I mean, it was okay. In that context, I was less impressed. It's got a great art style. It's got a very interesting story. It really does. And it was scary a little bit in some parts, but the puzzles were pretty straightforward. You know, it's very methodical. You can pretty much autopilot where to go, and the puzzles kind of solve themselves. You know, you come to a clock, it doesn't have hands on it. You walk 3 rooms later, you find the hands. It's pretty straightforward, the puzzle solving. So nothing to write home about. There are games like Crow Country that I think I would think are better because they just have better. They have combat. This game doesn't have any combat, and they have better puzzles, and they're just more robust. It's more full survival horror experience, you know. But it's much better than something like Back in '95, which is just a D-Res PS1 style horror game for the sake of it, and it has no story and crappy visuals, and it doesn't look cool at all, and there's nothing cool about it at all. It's one of my most hated games, actually, back in 1995. And so it was like in between those. Then I finished the game, and it unlocked Amy's story. And I usually don't play DLC or extra chapters or anything like that. But I looked it up. It is a full-fledged second campaign. It's a completely different campaign. It has virtually no shared content, and it's the only way to actually get the ending. So, by my definition these days, that's part of the core experience because it's a continuation of the game, really. You're just getting credits in the middle. So I went ahead and played it. Dude, Amy's story, if you're going to play this, you have to play the second campaign. It's almost as long, although not quite. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes to beat. So it's almost as long. It's way fucking scarier. It's way, I don't know. It's almost like it played like a sequel. It felt like it was a sequel because it was the same art style and some of the same characters, but the story's completely different. The setting's completely different. The puzzles are completely different, and the big bads are completely different. And I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it horrified me. I've been more scared playing this than I have been playing A Quiet Place, Silent Hill 2. That game's amazing, and it's a better game, but it wasn't as scary. I think I got, I'm not joking, I think I got more scared just now playing this than I have been all year. I can't think of a time. I mean, and I don't know why. It might just be because that ghost, that it's not a ghost. I won't spoil what it is. It's not a ghost. That thing resonates with me in some way. I don't know why, but I mean, I was terrified. So the second campaign is way scarier. The puzzles or whatever, they're about the same. The story, while not better than the first, is a completely different take on a completely different storyline that goes through some totally different stuff, and it was equally interesting. So I thought that was, I mean, it was a surprise. It was a surprise. I couldn't believe it. Actually, it should have been the main game. Honestly, the story that unlocks when you beat the first one is better. It's better. I guess maybe the story isn't quite as deep, but the story is not deep on either one. And it's the only way to get the actual ending. So I don't usually do that kind of thing, but I think it was worth it here, and it kind of I have just. Sidebar, I've been thinking about maybe changing how I approach that kind of thing with other games, so stay tuned on that. But absolutely play the second campaign once it unlocks after you beat the first one. It's the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. I thought it was just incredible. So that changed things for me, and now I feel very differently about the game, and I'm still trying to process exactly how I feel. There's still some things about what I felt about the original are still true. At the end of the day, this still is only about a 4-hour experience top. Well, yeah, about a 4-hour experience. So it's still quite short. Still for $20, that's, although it's a lot more reasonable, honestly. A 4-hour game for $20 is a bit much, but it's, considering the experience I got, I don't really have a problem with that part anymore. I was thinking that was a little high. I don't really feel that way anymore. The whole, it's really good for an itch.io game, but not that good for an actual console full release $20 game. I wouldn't say that I feel that way anymore. It's I wouldn't say it's still not quite as robust as an experience as something like Crow Country, which is another indie game that came out this year that's a PS1 style D-Res. But it's got combat, it's got bigger maps, it's got the whole it's got like Resident Evil style survival horror experience. This is more of a run and hide type game. And but for that kind of game, this is a good game. This is a good game. Like, I don't know if I'm going to rank this higher than something like A Quiet Place. And I really enjoyed that game, but the fact that I'm even wondering about it with a game that's this short and simple is something. So I was really impressed. I was kind of impressed already. For a short experience, it's decent. But the second half is way better. Way better. And by better, mostly I mean scarier. It was scary. I was scared. So I'm really impressed that just two people put something like this together. I think it's absolutely worth playing. Is it worth $20? Maybe if you're really into this kind of game. Otherwise, maybe catch it on a sale. I still think it's priced a little bit high, probably. I think $14.99 is probably the right price for a game like this. But if you're really into the run and hide type games and you like that PS1 D-Res horror style, you could do a lot worse. I think this is probably at least worth $15, and so it'd probably go on sale at some point. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, especially the second half. So all right. Last couple of things here. The bottom center of the screen says that we've beaten 92 games in 2024. And 539 since we started doing this. Those numbers are absolutely incorrect. We've now beaten 93 games in 2024 and 540 since we started doing this in 2020. Let's go. All right. Last order of business here. Fear the Spotlight. It's been a surprisingly I mean, like, I'm impressed. Good job. But we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Bye. Appreciate ya.